Hey, yeah, it's Adam Zdroik. It's Champions League Tuesday. I'm going to be going over Villarreal against Liverpool, the second leg. I work at RotoWire. We got the cheat sheet up here and rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 10-day trial, no credit card required. And I want to shout out BMO. He took down the Manchester United Brentford showdown yesterday. And you want to shout out our cheat sheet because that helped him win it. And yeah, I mean, we talk about it. I have it up on all these shows. And I mean, we're not lying to you. It is a useful tool no matter what you want to look at, whether you want to look at the odds, whether you want to look at the lineups, the injuries, the goal scoring odds, the free kick takers, floors in terms of, per 90 minutes, crosses per 90 minutes, anything really. But yeah, I mean, we mentioned cheat sheets all the time. So, and that's kind of what I use when I do these shows. But for this matchup, we got Liverpool 1.88 implied goal total, Villarreal at 1.10. Those are actually almost about the same as they were for the Manchester United Brentford match yesterday. Of course, the difference is that Manchester United were at home, whereas we got Liverpool away from home. This one is in Spain. And I tried to look at, so last week we did pretty well, I want to say, just in terms of reading this match, in terms of reading how Liverpool would play. The unfortunate thing is, I think the majority of people who followed the show did cash. The unfortunate thing is that Sadio Mane scored, and I think he had the smallest floor of Salah and Diaz, but he got the goal. So unfortunately, that didn't work out completely for us. But I think the majority of people who followed this show still cashed. And just in terms of this matchup, there's not really a comparison for Villarreal. They haven't been in this situation all season, or even just for in terms of Champions League. So I mean, you have the first matchup against Juventus that was 1-1 after the first leg, not the same situation. They're up 1-0 against Bayern Munich, not the same situation. And not to mention the second leg of both those were away from home for Villarreal. As for Liverpool, I mean, I guess you can look at some of these other games as a similar situation, but again, they won at Inter Milan in the first leg 2-0, and then they came back with the 1-0 loss at home against Inter Milan. And then they rotated a bunch in the second leg against Benfica, and again, that was a home match for Liverpool in the second leg. So we really haven't seen the situation for either of these teams. Your decision in making your lineup is you're going to have to decide if you think Villarreal are going to attack from the start and think that they have a chance if they want to make this, an up and down match like that Benfica Liverpool match that was 3-3. If you think that's going to be the route, then, go ahead, go take that route. Don't go with the goalkeepers, go for full goals and see what you can do with that. Or the other route is that Villarreal, they just keep playing the same way they have been, but maybe as the game advances, maybe they start pressing a little more, kind of a thing. So those are the two main ways this game's going to go. Because I mean, either way, you're probably going to get Liverpool goals. If it's up and down, you're going to get Liverpool goals. And if Villarreal play like they did last match, there's going to be Liverpool goals, as we saw in that game. But I think one of the stats I want to look at here, just general stat here, just Villarreal at home have been really good, actually. They're seventh in La Liga table, but they're as good as Real Madrid have been at home this season. 17 home matches, they've scored 38 goals and only allowed 15, scoring, what is that, a little more than 2 goals per match at home compared to away from home, where they have a negative goal differential and they aren't scoring 1 goal per match away from home. So I think that's pretty relevant when looking at this. On the downside, Villarreal have some injuries, and that's going to be the main question here. We'll see what they actually look like. Danjuma, who's probably been their better guy in Champions League, it doesn't look like he's going to start. He hasn't been training. He didn't train yesterday. And Gerard Moreno, he's slightly back from his hamstring injury, but hamstring injury, he's been injured for the second half of the season. Is he going to start? If he starts, probably not going to make it more than 60 or 70 minutes. So you got that. Basically, Villarreal's best two forwards. And we have a chance it's going to be, I mean, currently, if you're looking at their cheat sheet here, we got Boulaye Dia, who started and went 90 over the weekend. So maybe he's not going to start, but I think he's more likely to start than Paco Alcacer, who isn't likely to go 90 and hasn't been playing as much this season. The other route is we got Lo Celso. He's been a midfielder, and he'll probably move up to play forward. But as I said in the last show, it doesn't really matter what his position is in terms of what he provides on the pitch. And otherwise, Moy Gomez, Chukwuesu, we'll see who starts on the wings for Villarreal. I don't think that's a major issue because the way Villarreal play, they aren't a big crossing team. I think they have the third fewest amount of crosses in La Liga. So like this isn't a team you're playing for crosses with. They play centrally, and like you don't want Estupinian, Juan Foyth. I mean, maybe again, they haven't been in this situation this season, so maybe they just go crazy. Maybe it's just like, let's just switch it up and just start crossing balls. Like, but I mean, they haven't done that all season. So, do we think Unai Emery is just gonna do the change up a strategy like that? Maybe. We'll see what happens. But I mean, going off the odds and looking at last week, we're gonna start with the cash games here. I think we're pretty solid on our builds from last week, and so the thing with prices this week, we have the more expensive players, they're a little cheaper than they were last week. And the cheaper players, they're more expensive than they were last week. So we'll see what that gives us. But I'm looking at some of the small single entry cash games here. TAA was roughly 60% captaincy. And not surprising because he's basically the same price as Robertson now. So, I mean, just in general, when those guys are similar pricing, why not just go with TAA over Robertson? And that's what the majority of people did. And overall, those guys were right around 90%, TAA and Robertson in terms of rostership. And then Salah was was at 93% in this small single entry I'm looking at. And then, obviously when you got three expensive guys and you're 90%, it's just pick whoever you want kind of a thing. And I mean, for the most part, like I was kind of surprised that it was that easy to win money in last week's slate. But you got 37% of people going with Alisson last week, no save, clean sheet win, all that. But it was kind of a decide who you want from the cheap ones. Fabinho had his 8 floor for 3,800. Now he's up a little bit in price. Again, Lo Celso was at 44%. And then you have Parejo sitting around 40% as well. And I think that's the move again. Instead, this week, I'm not sure it's as easy to go with Lo Celso over Parejo. As I'm just looking at the pricing for Villarreal, there's a possibility their two most expensive players, Moreno and Danjuma, don't start this match. So that's going to leave you a little more wiggle room. But again, it's not like you're playing Danjuma and Moreno in cash games. But Parejo, 6,600. I think his situation is a little different. This is a home match. And I know I was off him last week because how many set pieces was he going to get? How many corners was he going to get? Turns out, not many. But this is a situation where they're down 2 goals. They're going to have to push. How much is that going to change things? And is that going to make him more valuable in cash games? Probably. That kind of makes it maybe a little harder than it was last week. But I will say it's not like Lo Celso isn't taking any set pieces. He took 3 corners last match. I think that has to be considered. But also, you still get Lo Celso here at 5,200 compared to 6,600 for Parejo. So why are you spending the extra money? Like if you're still getting Lo Celso, who he has a better floor really from open play. And I mean, the only chance that Parejo surpasses Lo Celso, I think, is if let's say Villarreal get 10 corners. A wild chance that Villarreal get 10 corners and Parejo takes 8 of them, and that's when he's going to have a better floor. So are you thinking that's going to happen? I'm not. So I'm still going to go the cheap route of Lo Celso here for my cash games. I think it just makes sense because all these other guys, I'd maybe like if it only fits that like Chukwuesu's in there, maybe go Chukwuesu. We'll see if Moy Gomez starts. I'm not as high on Moy Gomez. Um, Actually, I may mix those guys up. I'm actually higher on Moy Gomez just because he's cheaper. Maybe I take that back. Whatever. We'll see. We'll see what their lineup looks like. So, I mean, there's a chance like Serge Aurier is brought in there too. They go something wild, three center backs, go with a couple wing backs, something like that. But I'm still going with in cash games. Just plug in Lo Celso for your Villarreal player. He's 600 more than he was last week, but I think he has the best floor, really, of any of these Villarreal guys, and he's going to have some upside if he's playing at forward, which is possible here, given the injuries in Villarreal. So the question is, so captaincy. I mean, we're looking at a $400 or $300 difference between Robertson and TAA. So TAA is going to be around that 60% again, probably. So let's look at him. Let's look at Robertson again. I think no matter how this match goes, I think the Liverpool crosses are still going to be there. I think what they had 28 last match. They won't get as many, but I think it'll still be up there. One of your questions will come down to Alisson. If you think he's actually going to be in play for more saves, which he should be, but is he going to allow a goal? Obviously, you don't want that. So, are you going to get the saves? Or are you going to get the goal allowed? I don't know. 7,800 for him. And let's see what we can do with, we got TAA, we got Lo Celso, we got Robertson. You got a decision here. I think the decision in cash games, Salah will be popular. I mean, again, he's over 90%. So let's just get him in because you don't want to be on the bad end of that. The wrong end of that, if Liverpool get a PK or Salah scores and is the highest scoring forward for Liverpool, because then you're not going to win very many cash games doing that. So we got about 12.2 left. And I mean, like last week, it was deciding on midfielders who are now more expensive than they were last week. I mean, you can't even really fit. I guess you can fit Alisson in this lineup, so he's 7,800, and then you're left with 4,400. You're left with Henderson, who is probably my least favorite of the trio. I mean, he's getting subbed off early. I mean, he played 72 minutes last match. He's getting subbed off early. I believe he actually started over the weekend against Newcastle. Yeah, he started when 69 minutes. So I don't think Henderson is going to be going a full 90. So you got that there. That's kind of why he's the cheapest of the midfielders. And that's the only route you can go if you have Alisson in this lineup. Konate is, whoa, okay. Konate is 800 more than Van Dijk, so Konate will not be popular. Thiago, similar to last week, is 6,800. He's not going to be popular either. Again, he had 7 points last week. And when you have Fabinho, who was the clear option in my eyes, 8.8 points. He was the cheapest. Now he went up 1K because of that match last week. So if we don't do Alisson, we're looking, let's just say we go Fabinho again. And I mean, you're kind of stuck with, you want Fabinho. I mean, it's really any of these guys. If you don't want Alisson, is kind of what it comes down to. And yeah, I mean, the other option is to not use Salah in cash games, which isn't the best idea, but hey, go for it. Then you can get Alisson and a couple other guys. But I'd probably say Fabinho is the best value again, kind of what I was looking at last slate. And with the center backs, you're hoping, obviously, you're hoping for the clean sheet. I'd only play those guys if you also have Alisson, because I mean, the midfielders just have a better floor. I mean, outside of Henderson, like if you're getting 90 minutes from Fabinho, maybe not 90 from Thiago, but I just think those guys, they get as many opportunities in front of net as the center backs. Maybe you're not getting the clean sheet bonus, but they're just safer in cash games. So that's pretty much it. I mean, this is a pretty simple slate as we saw last week. We had three guys near 90%, and it just depends on what you want to do at your other spots. I was kind of surprised at the amount of people that used Parejo and Lo Celso last week. So that may be what people look at again, but Maybe because Villarreal at home and they need that goal. You could do that. I think that's more of a reasonable play than it was last week. But again, the comparison is, do you want, I mean, in this lineup that I was just putting together, we got Lo Celso. So uh, let's put in Parejo, and then like you're left with 6,400 in this lineup, and so like you're again left in that 6K range. So Parejo would probably, you just replace one of your Liverpool midfielders, Alisson or center back. So unfortunately, that's kind of all it is, and your money, your cash money is gonna depend on if a central midfielder scores, if a center back scores, if Alisson gets the win killing sheet, if Parejo gets 5+ corners. That's kind of what it's going to come down to, because you got the three guys, Salah, Robertson, and TA, all near 90%. So let's get into tournaments here. Last week, I think fading Mane was tough, but I'm going to fade Mane again. Smallest floor of the bunch, likely to be subbed off. Uh, I guess we also have a question of what the front three for Liverpool look like, because Luis Diaz did start over the weekend. Now he started two straight. I don't know if he's even started. He must have started three straight at some point when Jota was hurt. Yeah, early on he started three straight. So I mean, we could get Jota in here. If Jota's in, he's usually in a central role. So again, in that central role, I'd rather want the guys on the wing. So if Mane's on the wing, ignore what I said about fading him. I like Mane on the wing. I like Salah on the wing. It's just that this matchup. No, I think no matter, unless Villarreal completely switch things up, I think uh, no matter what Villarreal, unless they completely change things, like I still think the crosses are going to be there for Liverpool on the wing, and they're going to have the ball on the wing a lot, and that's where Salah and whoever else is on the wing. So we'll see what the front three looks like. But if Jota's in there, then probably Mane is going to be on the wing. But if it's what we have right now, Diaz is going to be on the wing a little more. So we'll see what it looks like. But just in terms of tournaments, I think it's pretty clear that you want to fade Salah in tournaments. He's going to be, you know how popular he's going to be. So I mean, the fade Salah route is always it's always there. Lately, he had a cold period for a month, and now he's been back in form. It seems like he's scoring every match. So take that with what you will. Um, so I mean, you got the front three with Villarreal. There there is a chance here. Like we have. Uh, Actually, I was looking at I did have a Lo Celso captain lineup last week. I don't know if it actually cashed out, but um, let me see what else, if I could pull that up real quick. I had this Lo Celso lineup last week that actually wasn't the worst thing in the world. Um, I guess it still was, yeah, it still was around 80 points, so I was right on the cut line. But I had Lo Celso captain. In this GPP, he was 1.7 captain. So there you go. Lo Celso with Salah, TAA, Robertson, Alisson, and Van Dyke. So yeah, I mean that it was almost there. Just the Alisson getting 10 points didn't really cut it there. So, but hey, I mean Villarreal are going forward a little more. You got to think, if the Villarreal play the exact same way they did last week, it'd be kind of disappointing because they just didn't really have any opportunity at all in the attack. And I mentioned those home stats earlier. They're scoring more than one goal. This is in La Liga. They're scoring more than one goal per game in home matches compared to away matches. So I think you have Boulaye Dia. If he starts, we'll see Paco Alcacer. Sorry, is that Paco Alcacer? Maybe. I'm not sure where he's born. Maybe Barcelona. But we got those cheaper guys. Lo Celso is actually cheaper than Paco is. So, like, what if we do this another Lo Celso captain? Hope that Villarreal get that goal, and then you got the Alisson. You don't want Alisson in that situation. In this, I mean, in this build, you don't play Alisson. Like I played him last week just because I was hoping for like a 10-point floor from Lo Celso, kind of a thing, maybe some shots on goal. But obviously didn't happen. So we got Lo Celso. I still think like I said last week, every lineup you almost need TAA and Robertson in there. It's just hard to see like the crosses not being there for him. I mean, sure, it's GPP, play what you want, but I do think those guys still hit their 10-plus point floors because it's not like Liverpool are just going to sit back and accept Villarreal to, I don't know, to put everything forward kind of thing. I mean, in that sense, you're still going to counterattacks and whatnot. But I mean, if you get Lo Celso here, Parejo, man, Parejo's just really tough. Uh, I guess we can go with him in this lineup because we don't actually know who the other starting forward is, but 6,600. But I mean, with this lineup, just because how cheap Lo Celso is, like you got TAA, you got Robertson, you got Parejo, you still have a good amount of money to spend on the rest of your lineup. Unfortunately, I mean, in this situation, you could actually, this is the kind of game where like you hope for more than 3 goals scored. You get Lo Celso, you get the fullbacks, and now you can get 2 forwards. So let's say we get Salah and Diaz, and we're right there in the cusp there, 4,000. So you're stuck with Villarreal scrubs in this situation. You're stuck with Capu, who had 3.3 points last match. But hey, I mean that's kind of what you do with in this situation. The other move is to just hope that maybe Robertson sits back a little bit. So let's say you don't want to play Robertson. So he's 8,600. You go down. Uh, I mean, there's not a ton to do here. I guess the move would, maybe you want to go all 3 Liverpool forwards, but I mean in that situation, you can't have TAA. So I mean, there's some wiggle room, but it's not like there. It's just hard because you don't. The Villarreal options are not good. We'll see. I think Boulaye Dia has more of a chance to play a full 90 than Paco Alcacer does. So we'll see on that. And if Danjuma or Moreno starts, it's really hard to see those guys going a full 90. I mean, you combine that with how they looked last week, and do you want 60 minutes from those guys on your team? Probably not, but hey, they're pushing forward. And let me just read a comment here. Jason, unfortunately, my information has not worked for him. Sorry about that. Hopefully, we can get it today. Would you set a more Liverpool heavy lineup, and do you think Alisson has another clean sheet? Yeah, I mean, looking at the odds here, but I keep coming back to Villarreal have to push. The question is, the question is what the rest of your lineup's going to look like. Do you want a goal from Lo Celso in that captain spot? Like if you don't, then well, I don't know what you're going for here. Do you want like another 2-0 Liverpool win and you hope that Alisson gets saves? I do think a clean sheet is definitely in play just because of the injuries that Villarreal are dealing with. It just depends on if the saves are going to be there, and then if they're not, is he going to allow a goal? But man, the way the goals that Villarreal have scored at home this season has kind of turned me off of Alisson a little bit. But I mean, we saw it with BMO yesterday. We won the showdown, and I always say that it's less popular to captain the underdog goalkeeper, which for obvious reasons. But even then, you can still win tournaments with the favorite goalkeeper. You just need a few saves from him. Saw it yesterday with De Gea, got a few saves out of him, got the win clean sheet, and Ronaldo. The other guys didn't really go off. I don't think anyone had over 20 points really. So I mean, that's definitely possible with a team like Liverpool. So let's just do it. Let's just do a captain Alisson lineup. So let me put that together. We'll end the show with a captain Alisson lineup and try and replicate what BMO did yesterday. So, okay, we have Alisson in here. You're gonna want, I mean, the clean sheets. You're gonna want the defenders. Who do you want from Villarreal? You probably want Lo Celso. I mean, I just keep plugging him in, but he's still cheap. Still has the best floor of the team, really. And maybe he's the guy that gets the shots on target. He's the guy going a full 90, so you also got that as well. You want the goal scorer, so we'll get Salah in here. 4,900, and whew, we're 100 short on getting Van Dyke. So maybe there's something else we can do here, but we can actually get Fabinho in this. So yeah, I mean, if you mix stuff around with his Alisson captain lineup, I mean, you don't need Robertson in there. You don't need. I guess you need TA. Who am I kidding? But yeah, I mean, you could go cheaper than Lo Celso. You could go. We'll see if Boulaye Dia starts instead of going Boulaye Dia. I mean, instead of going Lo Celso, you put Boulaye Dia in there, and you'd have Van Dyke. So you'd get the clean sheet and maybe hope for the Van Dyke goal kind of a thing, instead of hoping for the Fabinho goal. I mean, so you got a couple, 2v2s here in this situation where instead of Lo Celso, you go Dia, and then you got Van Dyke, so you get the clean sheet, and there you go. So, I mean, I think this Alisson captain lineup kind of looks pretty good if you're going with kind of same kind of match as it was last week, but maybe you get some more saves from Alisson, no matter who it's from, really. Um, but yeah, I mean, in this situation, it's just like you don't want any of these Liverpool guys getting over 20 points. It's just, it's kind of what happened. It is what happened last week. And they seem to spread the wealth a lot. And if Liverpool go up 1-0, 2-0, how much are they going to be pressing the rest of the way? So you get your goal from Salah. And I mean, in that situation, maybe the fullbacks aren't as required as they were last week. So you got to think about that as well. But I mean, if Liverpool do get first half goal, something like that, then I think the captaining of Diaz, Salah, Mane is not going to work out because those guys, how many more shots are they going to get? How many crosses? That kind of a thing. So if that Liverpool get that early goal, and then you're getting the saves, then hopefully you're getting the saves from Alisson and Liverpool. They get the win clean sheet. So I mean, I think that's a pretty good route if that's what you're looking at. If you think Liverpool hold them scoreless, which I think a lot of people are going to be thinking that just because of man, Villarreal did not look good last week. They just could not get any opportunities. I'm just going to pull up the numbers. Yeah, Alisson made 0 saves, 1 shot total, 5 crosses, 1 chance created. Obviously, these numbers are going to be different in this matchup with Villarreal at home, but those are just tough numbers to look at. And then you throw in that Danjuma, who has been their best forward in the second half of the season, maybe not starting. You throw in Coquelin, another guy who's may not start because he's injured. So you got these questions, and Alisson captain, that's definitely in there. We can go with that. I think that's a pretty good route. Other captains, I would say. I mean, you got Lo Celso in there. I don't think. I mean, Diaz maybe stands out, but again, he started back to back, so he's in play for getting subbed off early now as well. So there you go. Otherwise, hopefully that helped. We got almost 30 minutes here of me talking to myself about Villarreal and Liverpool. So hopefully we get some winners. We got worked out to our favor last week, and we'll see what happens this week. But I'll be back tomorrow talking Manchester City against Real Madrid. And thanks for listening. Hopefully, Jason. Hopefully we can get some winnings today. Huh? All right. Good luck, everyone.